Little Miss Naughty is probably one of the most iconic Little Miss characters. I'd say she's easily one of the most merchandisable. This is my cat's little plushie. She likes to use it as a pillow. And the book itself, I actually couldn't remember that much from my childhood. I definitely remember reading it. I definitely remember liking it. It is book number 2. But I couldn't remember the narrative. So reading it now for the first time as an adult, I can honestly say I really enjoyed it and it's pretty good fun. This was published originally in 1981. It's published now by Egmont. This book was published in 2020. And actually, reading this as an adult, I got slightly confused. So I did think it was a delightful story with an important message, but it was marginally confusing. And I will explain what I mean by that. I guess I should give a spoiler warning because I will be discussing what happens at the end. But it's really delightful. We start off with Little Miss Naughty being naughty, and because there are 10 years between the first Mr. Men books and this one, we have this collection of Mr. Men characters that we can bring into the Little Miss books. Like we have Mr. Uppity, Mr. Clever, Mr. Bump without his bandages, which I think is pretty entertaining, and this worm who often appears, and Mr. Small. And they all kind of gather together and say, look, this is ridiculous. We can't let Little Miss Naughty keep getting away with it. What do we do? And Mr. Small, I rather like this because one of the characters, here, they say, you're the cleverest, they said. What's to be done about Little Miss Naughty? And Mr. Clever actually admits he has no idea. And then Mr. Small says that he has an idea. And I love that. They've all turned to the character who they expect will solve the problem because he is the most clever. But the underdog, Mr. Small, is the one who comes up with the solution. And I love that. I thought that was a brilliant little nod to the fact that not everybody is as they seem, and some people may really pleasantly surprise you. But anyway, he manages to encourage this character, this invisible character, to pinch Little Miss Naughty's nose every time she does something wrong. Well, every time she does something naughty. And she ends up having a very red nose by the end of it. And honestly, I was reading it and I was going, hang on, what on earth is happening? Who is pinching her nose? And it transpires at the very end that it was Mr. Impossible. Now, I don't remember Mr. Impossible. So it turns out Mr. Impossible can become invisible. But I was so confused for quite a bit of this because that wasn't explained. And obviously, if you're a young child reading it and if you're familiar with Mr. Impossible, maybe that's something that you would remember. But for me as an adult, I was genuinely really confused until the end. And then I had to Google it. I was like, is Mr. Impossible invisible? And it turns out, yes, he can become invisible. So it actually confused me, but in a fun way. I did really enjoy it. Little Miss Naughty is, without question, a really fun story. Great mix of characters. A great chance for Mr. Small to shine on his own. And of course, one with a strong message that's definitely a pleasure to read.